give us the rundown a little bit about your background and how you got started and
Yeah,
what's making you successful so far.
absolutely. Yeah, I happy to be here. Thanks for joining. And I think as Van said, I'm trying to be humble here and not tout on myself, but yeah, obviously now it's an opportunity to do that. And I've spent my career, in the workforce solutions space, and it's super excited to be here. It's been a long journey and career up until this point. A little bit of my background. I played football a long time ago in college, and people ask what this journey's been like, thus far, and I would liken it a lot to, my days of playing football, where, you spend your life preparing and practicing, and you come up with a game plan, for a big game, and at kickoff, all that kind of goes out the window. You kind of improvise, and you're running and gunning, and you're using all the things that you've learned throughout your career, and um, all the practices and whatnot you've put into that point. But there's no script, and it's been a fun journey. I could not be happier to be where we are. We've had a lot of early success, and things have gone tremendously well. It's a little bit scary at times.
Hmm.
Obviously being a business owner, transitioning from working for large corporate organizations to actually owning it, the whole process yourself. But we've had a wonderful, a team, a lot of people behind the scenes that we've tapped into daily. We could, calling from everything from questions about payroll or onboarding clients to, all the things behind the scenes. But again, we couldn't be happier to where we are today. We've got a long journey ahead, but it's been phenomenal. And I think, about 2 years ago, my partner and I started having conversations about, where we were going in our careers and our lives. And, we both have spent a vast majority of our professional careers in this space, and really wanted to go about, doing something different. We've worked, both for large companies, in the market and in the industry. And not to say we were stagnant in our careers, but it just didn't feel as fulfilling. And so we started, really thinking about how do we do things differently. Let's go out on our own. Let's take ownership of this, and um, started doing the diligence of what does that take? What does that look like? How do you go about opening your own business, your own operation, I guess, within this space? And we started having conversations with the folks at Impact Workforce Solutions at the time, and things seemed to click. They had processes, teams, systems in place, technologies. They had a wonderful culture, a wonderful team, and as the conversations continued to mature, we realized that in what we were trying to do and build, there were a lot of synergies. There was a lot of things that were already in place that took a lot of that burden off, my plate as a business owner, to allow me to go out and sell and build, a tremendous business here within this industry. So,
Love it. What do you feel like some big components that have really helped with that success, helped you reach that success? Like, can you name a few of those solid points? I know you just named a many, but what it's really taken to get you there.
here as a business owner, within the first 2 months, you mean, or
Yeah, yeah, within the first two
yeah.
months.
So there's a wonderful system. I don't know how much we need to dive into that today, but there's a program, a part of this franchise model called Boost Up, which allows business owners to, myself, to tap into and support existing business that Impact Workforce Solutions has. So as a business owner, I'm trying to go out and procure new clients within my local market, but at the same time, I have the ability to support business throughout the country. This is already associated with Impact Workforce Solutions. So that allows my team and I, again, to really focus on generating net new business and clients within our local geo. All the while, we have existing business that we're able to deliver on in support and in conjunction with Impact Workforce Solution. So that allows us, obviously, to generate some revenue as we're trying to build out and grow, our existing local footprint. I think that's been a tremendous, piece of this. Obviously, generating revenue, getting some wins, under your belt, is huge. Obviously, you're starting from ground up. The quicker you can get revenue and get to that point of profitability, that's the ultimate goal. So
Now you have a background in staffing and recruiting, right? You
I
grew
do.
up in it, you know it, you could probably do it in your sleep, but what have you learned something new? Have you learned anything new now that you're an owner?
Every day. Yeah, every um, we're in the business of people, and you're dealing with people, and you mentioned it, servant first mentality. Um, every day, I mean, truly every day I learn something new. And I'm going after this call, going out to meet a client, that's looking for help with some particular skill sets that I'm not familiar with. And so, you know,
Mm.
at the foundational level, as a business owner, I've learned a ton, a tremendous amount, about building a business and hiring and scaling. And but then, actually in the weeds, on a day-to-day basis, it is a new challenge, a new, learning curve every single day with every unique client. Yes, have I learned something new? I learned something new, again, every day. So,
Sounds like expansion based on the local need. Can you talk a little bit into community and what that looks like and why that's essential for an iBoost owner?
yeah, I think, part of what led me here and wanting to do what we're doing today is, my sense of purpose. And part of that is, my community, the town that I grew up in, or the state that I live in and care so much about. And, I think whether you're in the staffing industry or whatever, business that you're in, that serves a purpose, both personally, professionally, and to be able to give back and be involved in the community, is a huge value add, but also, it's a requirement in order to truly build something, special and unique. I think it's a big piece of that.
Yeah. In your time to start up, let's talk about the expectations. Like, really, from the time that you signed and you went to Dawn's farm and y'all celebrate, you go to, what do you call it? The discovery meeting, right, Dawn?
Every day.
That's correct.
So, share a little bit about your real experience because we want to understand the expectation, the reality of what it's like joining because it's like a family, it's the culture. It's that we care so much about people and we're so genuine that we bring you in to make sure that, you're a solid fit and a higher achiever just like us. So, talk to us about the timeline from signing, opening, and then your first traction.
Yeah. So the timeline. That's a very good question. So
It's
we
fuzzy, isn't it?
yeah, I don't know where to go with that, but
Well,
um,
maybe it would help too. It's from the time you executed the franchise agreement.
Sure.
How long was it before you were open? And then how long was it before you were gaining traction and filling orders from the Boost Up program to where you are today with securing some new clients? I think you're starting three high-paid welders this week. Just kind of that that timeline from
sure. It
signature
all
to.
happened really quickly, and to be honest, it's all been a bit of a blur. It felt like yesterday that first met Don and the whole team, but in reality, I think we first started having conversations well over a year ago. When we went down to the farm and really became part of the family, I guess things moved very quickly from there. But I do want to touch on that because when we first started having conversations, we had no idea where, myself and my business partner, where this was going to go. We went down, met Vance, Don, and the rest of the team, and it was a very we went in with a very open mind, and started having conversations. And I think at some point during the weekend, it was determined, hey, not sure where this is going to go ultimately, but we've made friends. And I mentioned that because it is a family, and the team, it's just so very important, culturally and personally, that Don, the Impact Workforce team take that so seriously. And we felt like family, from the very early days, and that continues today. Where we have a very close personal and professional relationship with the folks, at iBoost, at Impact Workforce Solutions as well. But to speak to the time frame, we went to the farm and officially decided, this is what we were going to do, and things moved very quickly thereafter. We signed the agreements, we went live, immediately jumped in head first and started supporting, the Boost Up program. So we're doing recruiting and delivery for open requisitions, supporting the Impact team, and filling those requisitions almost immediately. We went through some training, some systems and process, pieces of that. What does that look like? How do we find candidates? Where do we track them? It took, a couple of days, but in essence, we were live and hitting the ground running essentially immediately. I think it took a few days, few weeks to actually get a couple placements going, get some people billing within that program. But we were immediately, again, day one, we were out in the market talking to people about our business, what we were doing, and having conversations in the local community about the business that we had started and opened. And ironically, the first client we worked with is somebody that my business partner met at the gym. He was working out one morning and just happened to be talking to a guy. What do you do, kind of thing. And within a few weeks, that led to a serious conversation, at the client site. And a few days later, we were, working and executing contract. And a week or two after that, we had people working. So, it all moves very quickly, which is a great thing, particularly as a business owner trying to reach that point of, profitability or break even. But, we've been able to do that very, very quickly. We've got a long way to go. Our goal is to, obviously to grow and build something, very meaningful and very large and scale, continue to grow and scale. But, I've talked to other business owners in the local community about, where we are financially and what our break even point looks like in the timeline. And to be honest, it's, kind of blown their mind a bit to say, well, you're expecting or projecting to be at a break even, at X date. And we haven't defined exactly what that is, if it's 6 months, 3 months, but we're getting pretty darn close. And that's exciting. Yeah, obviously that's our short-term goal is to, okay, we are covering our costs. We're at break even. But that's just the beginning, right? And so
Yeah, absolutely, man. Congratulations. And
Yeah,
that's my
that's
motto, always be networking, always be networking. And I shout out to your business partner for making time to go to the gym. Let's talk about what gives you time to go to the gym. And that's the back end support from our iBoost team and our sister company, Impact, that has your back and the platforms and the systems so you can kind of plug and play and go do what you do best, right?
absolutely. Yeah, that's a huge and tremendous, value add, and a lot of the reason why we landed, here, and why instead, we had the idea of potentially going out and recreating the wheel and starting our own, business entity. But at the end of the day, having that team that processes those systems, the infrastructure in place, I can't describe how meaningful and impactful that is. To your point, allowing myself and or my business partner and our team to be able to sleep at night knowing that somebody is taking care of the payroll or the legalities and some of the nuances that as a business owner, I'm sure keep a lot of people up at night. That's all taken care of, and that again, yeah, I have three young daughters, and obviously a new business, so sleep is it's hard to find at times, but it allows me to actually sleep soundly knowing that that stuff that those teams, again, the process systems are in place. So
Yeah. Vance, I think you had a question for Chip or comment.
Oh,
No?
no, I just enjoy listening to Chip. He's such a humble, hungry, and smart individual, and those are the characteristics that we deeply value. And you can tell just from listening to him that his sincerity, comes through. And even when he talks about the family, I mean, we're very conscientious of that. We've all worked in big corporations, international, and it just we don't even call our home office corporate. We call it a home office. And we do that for a reason. It fits our culture. And we want people to feel at home and feel comfortable and feel connected, feel supported and feel valued. And, you know, at Chip played linebacker. He may not have told you that, but part of playing linebacker is looking at the field and understanding what's in front of you and how you deal with it. And linebacker, you're dealing with him defensively. He's very much offensive at this stage of his career, going out and trying to grow a business. And he's doing a fantastic job. I just can't say enough about him. And his intellectual curiosity and his deep desire to serve and to solve problems and to help improve quality of life for people made Chip the absolute poster child, ideal candidate to be a part of our system and part of our family. And can't wait to see where he goes and where he grows. And just phenomenal.
Absolutely. I feel like a commentator for, I was a intern for Fox Sports Net for a minute. I feel like you're winning and I'm on the field with you, Chip, and I'm asking you how you did it, play by play. And I love the pride and the passion that, I see and I feel every time I talk to you, even when I'm trying to get things from you for work, I respect and honor your schedule and your drive, and your mindset and your mentality. It's almost like you can't teach that. Either you have it or you don't. And those are the kind of people that's in our circle. Our conversations are different. They're authentic. We talk about, the good, the bad, the ugly, but we laugh with it. We grow through it. You grow through everything, Chip. And what I love all of the metaphors you gave me, from launching was like building a plane while you're flying it. And that's like, wow, can you imagine?
Riding a bull in the rodeo. I have a story
Yeah,
for that.
man, you
We'll
could
save
do
it
it
for
all
another time,
day.
but yeah. I've got some metaphors.
Yeah. No, I love that. So, what would you do differently? That might be a hard question. Would you do anything different? Would you run some plays different?
I think at this point in the game, that's a very tough question. We're still so early on. I think one thing, the there's so much opportunity in front of us. The
Mm,
market and the utilization of our services in this market, and nationally, really. I think it not overwhelming, but I think going into things and with a very strategic, defined, this is, and I'm talking very, in the business, I guess, that
yeah.
identifying, this is the exact segment or market or clients that we would like to go after, because from the very beginning, we were all over, have been all over the place in a great way, to whether supporting the boost up, the existing business with impact work solutions, or the client that we landed very very early on from the gym. It's just we've been running, and we've had to slow down a bit and say, okay, this is, we've got to put the blinders on a
Slow
bit,
down to speed up.
and yes, and slow down just a little bit and say, okay, these are the top 25 companies that we would like to work with. Or if we could change anything, I think it would be to sit down, slow down, and which we tried to do a couple of times, but then it's holy cow, we've got great things going on here. So yes, in hindsight, retrospectively, I think if anything, it would be to slow down, but I'm never going to slow down. I'm not wired that way, and
Hmm.
unfortunately, we have folks on the call here, and people on our team who a lot of times help me with that, kind of reel it back and say, okay, let's slow down a bit and really dive in and go after very strategic, targeted pockets of business. But yeah, I think if anything, personally myself, that would be one of the things that over the last 90 days I've realized that slow down sometimes, take a breath,
Hmm.
work a little bit more strategically. But I'm never going to really be good at doing that. And again, I'm very thankful that
Yeah,
I have the people. My motto is kind of I like to go fast, um,
same.
and
Our
but
minds never stop. That's what we do here.
that's right, that's right. But yeah, I
But
think if
okay.
anything, that
Well,
would be yeah.
yep.
Yeah, go ahead, Bill.
No, and certainly, having a cadence and a pace is a great aspect of business. However, in the staffing business, we're at the beck and call typically of our clients, and their pace may be different from ours. Sometimes they come in the morning and find out, a truck's showing up or a truck's not showing up, and it's all of a sudden a big change of pace for their organization. So our ability to react to that, our ability to match their pace, match their demands, those types of things, it's an integral component of the success of being in this business. If you are uh, so married to a plan that when a client calls and says, "Hey, you think you can get me three people for the rest of the week to help with this short-term project or something like that," the response can't be, "Well, that really wasn't in my plan for the rest of this week. So can we talk about that for next week?" So I think having that ability that you have, Chip, to think on the fly, move quickly, adapt, which obviously you haven't been in the business for a long time as you've been, is a huge component of the ability to be successful in this business.
Yeah, absolutely. So Chip, what advice would you give to somebody who's considering ownership right now? I know we're spread out, like all over the Sun Belt in certain areas, and I know you investigated your market well. And what advice would you give to somebody who's considering this?
To not overthink it. There's
Mm,
no time better than the present to gain control of your life and your career and the direction you're headed.
mm,
Um, I think there's been points in my life where I've wanted to do what I've done, and for whatever reason, I've found an excuse to not. Um,
mm,
you know, Thankfully, I didn't. Because I'm very thankful and glad that I am exactly where I am right now. But I think that a lot of times people get scared or analysis paralysis, and I would say do the homework. Make sure that it's a justifiable market. For you to consider opening, a staffing office in. But yeah, don't. There's no reason to wait. Economically speaking, well, the business climate may not be as good as it was a few years ago. There's always an excuse. There's always a reason. But take control. Just that's that
mm.
would be my advice. Yeah.
That hits hard, and that's what we're all about, and I feel like that's where we all align, is that when we stop saying yes to things that insult our soul, this is like my motto for this year, is I come into full alignment and then blessings pour in. It's just like, wow, the universe, God unlocks the doors that you've been waiting for. And Chip, you nailed it in one of your posts when you hadn't even opened your doors yet. You said, you know what? I finally believed in myself. Like I finally put me first.
That's right.
I got chills on my head when I say that because that resonated so well. And guess what happened at the end of the year? I was done with a work environment in my own life, and God aligned me with my people who are like, you know what? We work with people who are aligned people. And it takes work getting there. It's usually not pretty. It's usually scary. It's bumpy. And guess what? You got a team, you got a system, and you have your own inner drive and your own inner knowing to get you there. And so your quote inspired me. So I want to say thank you because you helped me believe in me. And once I did, the universe shifted everything the way that it needed to go. And did I know what was going to happen? No. Did you?
Absolutely not.
No. And here we are. And here we are celebrating you. So thank
That's
you.
powerful. Yes, thank you.
Thank you for saying yes. And, to all the people who are on here, maybe you're in that space. Maybe you feel called to believe in you and invest in yourself. Let's talk a little bit, Chip, just about partnership, having somebody to help you succeed. You have your developer, you have Vance Tiller, who is absolutely amazing, tried and true, one of my favorite humans ever. Truly, truly a true leader. How has that helped you? And then let's talk about your partner in the business, how that helps you succeed where you are.
Yeah. So okay, yeah. So Vance is, as you mentioned, a words can't describe, how much Vance means to me as a person, and obviously professionally and personally. Having him and his wealth of knowledge, and it, I can't, yeah, I'm almost getting emotional just trying to articulate this, but I couldn't ask for anything more or better. He brings so much to the table in terms of his knowledge of our industry, but also, personally, he's a dear friend. Always has a positive attitude. He's a lot like me in the sense he's a very, very curious person. I
Yeah.
think sometimes he and I can, when we have conversations, that we have very long conversations about something, and after 45 minutes or an hour, we realize, okay, well, what's the answer? Because we start asking even more questions. But it's such a blessing to have a Vance, in my corner to help me, to support me, just to bounce ideas off of. He's quick to tell me that it's a terrible idea, but to have him or someone like him, yeah, I cannot meaningfully articulate what that means, other than I don't know that I would be where I am or doing what I'm doing without that. It allows me to sleep at night, as I mentioned, the little sleep that I am able to get, but knowing that he's in my corner and he's always there, always available is just such a huge piece of this. And then, my partners behind the scene, our team here in Raleigh, again, the same thing. I wouldn't be here, I think, without them. The successes I'm having, the failures I'm having, the we're having, it's a lot bigger than just me. I'm a team player. I don't really enjoy tooting my own horn or counting myself. I think there's a lot going on. There's a lot behind the scenes, a lot of other moving parts, a lot of other people to give credit to here. Yes, besides myself, and that is a tremendous asset. Again, is the foundation of how and why I'm here, having this conversation. So.
Yeah. And before we let Vance speak to his part of supporting you, let's just name that, people who come into this space, whether you have staffing and recruiting, sales, the business acumen, you all have your strengths. You bring your strengths and you can partner with somebody who brings the other strengths to the table, right? And that's why I love it. It's like a sport. It's like a team sport where, hey, I'm great at this, you do this, execute, right? And that's what this is all about. So for everybody on the call or rewatching this, um, think about who's in your corner, who can be your partner to do this with you and make this happen. So Vance, I'm gonna give you the mic so we can now, what's it been like supporting Chip?
Well, it makes it easy, really, and thank you for those kind words, Chip, and his partner. It really, actually, be perfectly candid, it started on a hunting trip, and we made a strong personal connection, and that evolved into a business transaction and foundation for success, and it's been nothing but great. There was a song that I heard not too long ago, and I think the title of it was "Find Your People and Find Your Purpose."
Mm.
And Chip's our people, and so are you, Becca, and you've been a great addition to the team. But you talk about wandering in the desert or whatever metaphor or analogy you want to use, but we all go through these times in our careers where we wake up and say, what put me here? How did I get here? What happened? And what decision did I make to put me in this spot? And sometimes it's really hard to pinpoint a specific decision, but it's a series of things that kind of line up, as you said, Becca. That's not coincidence, it's destiny. And it took me a lot of years in this business to come across a gentleman that is my people and that I connected with on a different level than anybody I've ever worked with. And he painted a vision that very much align with my personal needs, my personal desires, and my business skills and experience. And to say we've had a great partnership, in my view, is an understatement. And that's Don King, and Don is on the call, obviously, our chairman and founder. And Don's vision is built on a simple premise, improve quality of life for people. And that doesn't mean just the workers. That means our clients. That means our partners. That means our franchisees. And the way we support each other in tough times as well as great times is something that's rare. It's unique. And, you said you're a servant leader, Becca. You're a
Mhm.
servant. Clearly, that's obvious, and Don is the same way. And it all kind of feeds down, permeates the culture, and creates a culture that you can live in and support and be a part of that makes you feel good every day. And we don't know what tomorrow brings, but we just, and I've said many times, and Don's heard me say it over and over. Uh, I do the best I can with what's in front of me today, and I have faith that everything's going to work out. And I just believe that our guidance comes from a stronger power than I can describe, and we just trust and do what we can. But with regard to Chip and his an initial connection to where we are today has been nothing but wonderful and is a template for successful launch of a franchise operation in our world. And it's nothing but the sky's the limit. And they've already he won't talk about it today, and I understand, and I won't either, other than to say they've in contract negotiations with a very large opportunity in Raleigh that is a name that will be a great logo to add to our company and is going to really accelerate their growth in 26 and into 27 and beyond. So it's just been great. I mean, that's you find your people, you find your purpose, and Chip's our people, and he's living his purpose, and he's going to create a legacy that'll live long beyond him and me and us. So that's exciting.
Absolutely. That is exciting. So for those who are with us today, and this was the big question that was asked to us when we were in Dallas at that event, what what are they responsible for doing? What is the staffing owner responsible for doing, and what do we do for them?
hmm Yeah, it's a great question, and a lot of people. I'll be very candid. People ask, well, do you give me customers? Do you give me customer lists? Do you provide me with relationships? Well, this is a business to business operation. Staffing is a connection business, and it is not one that you're going to sit behind a desk and things are just going to come to you. And Chip, I'm sure, will be the first to tell you, you gotta you gotta talk to people, you gotta network, you gotta build relationships, you gotta be where the business is happening, and that means a lot outside of 8 to 5. But the support is there for helping identify where the opportunities are, what the mechanisms are behind it. I think we're up to, I don't know how many pages our operations manual is, but it's got everything you could ever imagine or want to know about how to operate a staffing business. So, when you're sitting there, like some of our guests are today, just thinking, well, I really think I can do this, but where do I start? Or what kind of support will I get? Or what's going to help me succeed? And that's where our 250 plus years of experience on our leadership team and all that comes into play. We've got the playbook, we've got the know-how, we've got the experience to help think through challenges. But at the end of the day, it's Chip, it's the franchisee who's going to build that business, and that's going to be built by the strength of their ability to network and get to know people and find problems, solve problems, and improve quality of life for people, and do that in a profitable way. And we been there, we've done it, and we know how it works. So if you're sitting on the fence or fearful about where or when, as Chip said, just do it, and we'll be there to support and help.
Yeah, and that the operation manual Vance references is the Bible of staffing industry, and I'm in there almost every day where something comes up, I don't know the answer. How do I do this? I've spent my career in this space, but what is the process for handling this, onboarding a new client or whatever that be? And it's all there. So yes, anybody who has the acumen and the personality to go out, like you mentioned, and network and just talk to people, that's the rest is there. That operations manual gives you the guideline, the frameworks, the direction of how to do everything else you need to do to allow you and empower you to go do your job. And without that, I feel like I would be spending a lot of my time doing, unproductive tasks, trying to figure this stuff out, but it's there. And so, Vance, I think it's important for me to call that out. But, particularly if you don't have the breadth of experience maybe that I do, within this industry, it, it, it it's all there for you. It's the framework is there for you to reference, to answer the questions you have. And then we have the support, the Dons, the Vances, the Bills, the Beccas to help answer the questions if they're not, by chance in the operations manual. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we say we got your back, we truly do. It's not fluff. I mean, there's a lot of companies out there who will promise you everything, and we over deliver, if anything. Sorry if I've ever smothered you, by the way, Chip. But we have
So Becca, just
questions now. Go
say,
ahead.
no, just in the
Yeah.
business that we're in, is really look at front office and back office. And I use office loosely because we don't require brick and mortar. I mean, that's an option down the road, but Chip and his partner have started virtually, and they're growing their business and doing great things. But when you think about back office, we're talking about payroll, benefits, insurance, compliance, taxes, all the things you need to support a business. And as an owner, to be able to set those things in a bucket and know that the franchisor and your partners have your back on the back office gives you great freedom to go out and accelerate your evangelism of your brand and your growth and your really your sales and business development, which is the key to being successful. And just knowing that you got the support behind it with not only the training but the back office to handle the details, I think is huge.
And that's what our first question kind of points to here from an attendee. Let me read this out loud. What is the best investment of time to find new clients in this industry? Cold calling, searching job listings, expos, conferences,
Yes.
all of them.
Yes.
Is
Yeah,
that the
All
answer?
the above.
it's the for if you haven't been in the staffing industry, one of the reasons we look for sales aptitude is that we handle, I say we take out the garbage so you can focus on revenue generation. And revenue generation doesn't come without networking, friends, family, the gym, obviously where they got their first client. So it's not a hard sell, it's a relationship business because we're improving the quality of life of others by giving them a job. We're improving the quality of life of others by supporting Chip. We're improving the quality of life of others by giving them benefits and help retaining those individuals that then in turn those individuals improve the quality of life of their employers. But that all happens in a very strategic, thought out sales process. And one of the reasons and a differentiator for iBoost that we created the Boost Up program was to allow to take a little bit of pressure off of a new franchisee where your recruiter can start filling requisitions for impact and earning off of that while your salesperson Chip goes out to market, because in the staffing industry it's generally a 90-day sales cycle. Chip's beating that. They got their first two clients within 60 days. But the norm is a 90-day sales cycle before you have any revenue flowing in to your business, whether you're a staffing franchise or whether you're launching it yourself. That's just the industry norm. So rising tide raises all ships. Our core values, you, Becca, have said it, Chip has said it, that open and honest, transparent conversations. We will tell you when we think you're doing something weird or that's not going to work. But we'll also be there to celebrate because it's been my entire career. I'm 24/7. So you can call my cell phone any time of day, and sometimes Chip and his business partner, they'll call me at 8:30 at night, and I'm sitting there and we'll have a conversation. That doesn't go away with the franchise award. We're here to support the franchisees because that rising tide raises all ships, and the more people we can help become successful, in turn, we become successful. So I've always said, it's one of my quotes, if you improve the quality of someone else's life, your own life will improve. And that is the core value of our culture. I'll leave you with this. Work is hard. It takes you away from your family. It takes you away from your friends. It takes you away from the things that you want to do. If you can create an environment that you want to go to work, it changes things, and you're helping others when you do that. So I'll leave it there, Beck, because everyone knows I can get on the stump and talk for hours. So
Don,
No, I
just
love it.
Beck, if I just jump in,
Yep.
you said you talked about the Boost Up program, and the people. The question was, what's the best way to find clients? I think, but um, share a little bit more about the Boost Up program and really what impact brings to the table to support the iBoost franchisee.
Um, so the Boost Up program was designed. We Impact Workforce Solutions is our service solution is a retention based solution of labor at a client facility. And in our before our iBoost launch, we would use other strategic partners within the market, other staffing companies, which we still do, because the volume of requisitions we have. I don't know, Vance. I think it was 500 last week. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so when an iBoost franchise launches, we can give them 20 requisitions to fill. We split the margin with the franchisee 50-50 for the first 520 hours of evaluation hire before they're hired full time by Impact Workforce Solutions. So it allows a franchisee to start getting revenue as quickly as they can fill those positions, which we all know the first step in a business, shut the faucet off, which that's break even and cover your cost. Second
Mm.
is to then start to build and a lot of people say, oh, then I start making money and I buy a Porsche. No, you start making money and you invest it back in the business for another recruiter, another salesperson, and perhaps another office location. And then as you scale, then the profitability starts flowing to the bottom line. The Boost Up program is simply what it is, a leg up, a boost up. No other franchise system in the market that I know of offers anything, and I was with one for 34 years. And when I first started, here's the phone book, here's the one ads. Get on the phone and start making appointments. Good luck.
Mm-hmm.
Go out there and get some business. So we don't just talk about support, we actively provide that in a real and meaningful way.
There's so
Absolutely.
much data out there available to assist you with finding those clients that have a need. I mean, word of mouth. I think Chip used the term, and Vance reinforced it as well, of being curious. If you're a curious individual, you will find business everywhere
Yep.
because every company is either hiring or looking for new talent, replacing people, those types of things. We've got the wind, so to speak, at our backs of a rising tide in the U.S. economy right now that's going to bring additional requirements as companies start to rebuild their workforces and those types of things. So to that person that asked that question, whether you're in the staffing industry or any other business right now, keep your ears to the ground. Ask people, what do you do? How do you do it? What kind of needs do you have? That having that natural curiosity, so to speak, of how businesses work, what people do, where they work at, what do they like about it, what do they not like about it, all those kinds of things opens so many doors, you'll be absolutely astonished. But it all starts with that conversation, with that, what do you do?
All right, Chip. I know you have to run, and I respect and honor that. And we celebrate you and your successes and who you are and how you serve. So thank you for saying yes. Um, Also, real quick, we're gonna have to do this one time. Here we go. Y'all ready? Hey, the cannon blast. There it is.
Hey, thanks
All right.
everybody for attending today. And Chip, give me a call this afternoon and let me know you signed that new client.
No, I will
Yes, and
celebrate.
we'll follow up with everybody on today's call. Thank you for attending. The key is to have that transparent and honest conversation about where you are in life and what's calling you. We'll take a serious look at your market to help strategize how you can just plug and play where you are with what you have, but then like Bill just said, we're always learning. Technology and AI is advancing so quickly that guess what? We have more tools to help you cast the net and make more connections quicker, and that's what it's all about. So thank you, Chip Thomas. Um,
Thank you
go
all.
go boy, it's game day. Go get them. And we'll be here celebrating you as we always do. I'm your number one cheerleader.
Thank you all.
All
Thanks,
right, you
Becca.
guys.
Thank you,
Yes,
Becca.
have a blessed
Thank
day.
you.
Thank
Run,
you
Yeah,
for
thanks
Forest,
everybody for
listening.
run.
attending.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.